everyone. Well, welcome to another show of Ridin'SoCal. And today is really going to be a special show because we're going to talk about women in motorcycling and a lot of the aspects of how to get into motorcycling and a lot of the enjoyment of it. I'm here today with Queena Deschene.
Yeah.
Queena, thank
Hi.
you for being here.
Thank you.
Queena is very involved in the motorcycle industry and riding, and has just completed the Sisters Centennial Motorcycle Ride all the way across the United States. So, with that said, Queena, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am an avid track rider. I do lots of canyons. So
Oh, really? Okay.
I was actually a car girl, and then 10 years ago I just decided to pick up a bike. It was a GS 500F.
There we go.
Suzuki. And then since then I've just been doing lots of canyons in San Diego, LA, even the Bay Area. And so this is my 10th year of riding. I've done lots this year to celebrate. So
Wow.
that's me in a nutshell.
Well, you know, it's so fantastic because, like we were talking a little bit before the show, when I first got into motorcycling and when I was with American Honda as a product research engineer, I was working with a lot of the female groups because of the mandate from Honda. We wanted to find out what's it going to take to get more women into riding. And back then it was 0.1% of women bought motorcycles. You were mentioning.
In 2006 I was 1 in 20.
So that's 5%.
Minimum. Yeah.
And now it's 15% and growing according to MIC figures. It's amazing.
Yeah. And that's across the nation. So if you're in SoCal, you go to any bike night, it will be half-half.
Wow.
I mean, from what I've seen. Yeah.
Well, you know, I've got a little theory about that as the changing of women have gotten obviously much more independent and wanting to do things on their own.
Yes, we
but
have.
There's so many women that I've known and know of, and that's happened over the course of riding. That, okay, you got the young guy that's got his motorcycle and he said, oh, come on. The girl gets on the back for her first ride and he's full of testosterone and he just literally scares the hell out of her. Mm-hmm. She gets off that bike and says, screw you, screw this motorcycle. I'm not. How many girls have been ruined like that?
So many, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it's so nice to see, especially from the aspect of Southern California motorcycles here. We see it on the sales floor every single day, and it's just fantastic. Mm-hmm. You know, I had, I'll just tell another little story. We hired a girl to be our service manager. She had worked on the service drive. She was very mechanical. She's really good, and hired her to be service manager. So she comes in. She had been riding, right, but only on the little bike. She had just gotten her license. She says she wanted a bike. I go, okay, of course, employee. We take care of our employees. Mm-hmm. She wanted a 955i Daytona.
Oh, wow.
147 horsepower Daytona.
Mm-hmm.
And Triumph Daytona. And I did everything I could. I said, oh, you know, even though girls are definitely smarter than guys when it comes to this.
Much more conservative.
Because a guy, that connection between the throttle hand and the brain, we guys, we lose that connection real easy.
Yeah.
And it's all about this, where girls are much stronger when it comes to that. But still, for her first motorcycle, and it was a big motorcycle, she wasn't a particularly tall girl. She was probably 5'5", 5'6". And so she said no. And what I knew is what I knew. I knew that she really wanted that bike. If she didn't go, if I didn't take care of her, she'd go to my competitor, even though we were, this is actually before I hired her. Mm-hmm. But she would go to our competitor, and our competitor would go, okay, I'll take your money, just flip her the keys, right?
Yeah.
So she bought the bike and made sure Cindy, my significant other, she rode with her and helped her with initial training. Mm-hmm. She went through all the classes, got all the gear, and I think it was 3 years before she wound up having a tip over and still was fine. But after that, she was still she was working for us by that time, and it was fantastic. And so that's just another little story about it's possible, girls. You know, just get on the bike and get the training. You had mentioned that you do track days.
Yeah.
What got you to do that?
Honestly, I just had good friends loop me in. So my first track experience was with the Superbike School.
Right.
So I was lead corner worker
Keith
for
Code?
Keith Code
Mhm.
for many years. And then I had a career break. And then I got back into track, but actually into mini bikes. So I coach
Oh, wow.
women's clinics for little CRF 50s. Or,
Really?
Yeah. So that's been my joy. And then from that, I started racing mini bikes. So there's an upcoming 24-hour race, and we're going to do
24-hour. Now, I
Yeah.
used to do 24-hour races at Willow and around, and that's...
on
that's
what bike?
Well, we actually won on the VF500 Interceptor, but I've done it on a CB1100F. I've done it on... We set the world records on the VFR 750.
Wow.
So, yeah. That's,
What an epic bike.
Oh, it was.
Yeah,
oh,
that's time.
absolutely.
Mhm.
But we'll get into that story. That'll take us off in another different direction. Sisters Centennial Motorcycle Ride.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's a big deal. Explain that.
So the organizer had this idea. One day, she was doing tours, and so one day she had this idea of like, I'm going to take 10 women across the country, and I'm going to, lead them across and have them grow into these people and see all these amazing things that is America. But then as she started talking to different organizers, people at Indian, people at her close
Different
network,
manufacturers.
yeah, actually her mentors, like Women's Coalition of Motorcyclists, they just said, well, why only 10? Why not more? And so people kept egging her on, and so about 2 years ago, she's been planning every week.
Was this the first one?
This is the first and only 100th one. I mean, there have been other rides because it is
Sure.
based on the two sisters that did this in 1916, the Van Buren sisters.
Okay.
And so their descendants have been planning events and keeping their
Awesome.
memories alive. So they've been doing a lot of work there. But this was specifically by someone who's in the industry. She's a journalist. She does a lot of stuff in
What's her name?
motorsports. Lisa Clickinger
Okay.
of Women's Motorcycle Tours.
Right.
And so she's just been really rallying a lot of her supporters, and I got to meet a lot of them. It was amazing. And then from then, you attract all these different personalities who are interested in going on this cross-country ride. And so we start in Brooklyn, and then we retraced all of the routes that the sisters did in 1916, including
Wow.
going up Pikes Peak. And they were the first ones to do it.
No
So
kidding.
that was cool.
That's fascinating. That's
Yeah.
history there. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, they went along all these roads that weren't paved.
Now, how long does it take?
Uh,
What's the length of the event?
Well, it was 3 weeks, so it
3
ended
weeks, okay.
a couple days ago on Saturday in SF.
Wow.
And they actually didn't stop at SF. They went down to San Diego and TJ. I'm assuming they traced El Camino Real because that was probably the only road back then. But we tried to follow as much of their original route.
Wow, that's outstanding. Now, are all the hotels and everything organized in advance, or do you just play it by ear, or how do you do this?
It's an organized tour, so all the hotels were booked in advance. Breakfast and dinner were included. Lunch is on your own. And then every day was about 300 miles.
That's
a
a
little
good
more.
250 to 350. That's depending on the roads. That's usually a good touring amount.
Yeah, 4 or 5 hours.
Right.
And plus, we don't ride at night at all. So
Okay.
every night we get to a hotel. So every night I had to figure out, I think I figured out 15 different shower heads. Yeah, so that was a good life skill to have. But every night it would be a different hotel, and it's so funny because you have one guidebook, which had all the
Sure.
directions turn by turn, but everybody who gets to the table has a different story.
Of
So
course,
even though
yeah.
we had one endpoint, everybody
Everyone
took...
sees something different. Everyone has a different experience.
Yeah.
How many people wound up going?
Oh my gosh, it was... By the end of San Francisco, it was over 150.
Whoa!
We didn't even have a final count because we had a
Well,
lot of people
Did people
join.
join on for parts of the ride? Is that what it was?
Yeah, there were some who just did the Northeast and then they kind of went back home. Others met us in Colorado Springs, so that was a big hello. And then SF, we had the San Francisco Motorcycle Club join us, so they brought their horde.
wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. And then going over the bridge was just like, I just want to say like 2 miles long of bikes.
And for everyone out there that's never done a parade or something similar to this, as a motorcyclist, that's one of the most fun things you can do is actually participate in a big group. I mean, people will line up on the sides of the roads and
They're waving, and
oh.
cars are looking at you. They're like, "What is this?" And all you're doing, you're just happy. You have like people blocking off the roads, which is really nice. Like I did that for the girls on the ride.
Right.
Zoom ahead, block off traffic, make sure everybody's safe, but to actually just enjoy the ride. That was really nice. And the organizer, at least, she was really great about that. She took care of all of us and said, you know, you've ridden cross country as staff, so now it's your time to really ride over the bridge, and we had other support. So that's the kind of community that women, I think, bring to motorcyclists.
Now, obviously, we're talking about a Sisters Centennial Ride. Did you even allow any guys on the ride?
Of course, yeah, there were 10. Actually,
I mean, if put it this way, a young guy going, all women's ride? I'm there.
We did have a few of those, yeah. But we welcomed everybody because, you know, women, I mean, we coexist, and it's really all about riding.
Of course.
Right. So actually, we had a lot of women riders who did coast to coast, and then their husbands joined along at certain parts.
Really? How
yeah,
cool.
I really like that. And there was one family that went on the ride, Monique and her 2 children in sidecar, pretty much the whole way, and then father joined on towards the later half.
Well, there's no two ways about it. Motorcycling, and I've been in motorcycling all my life. When you have both of you ride, like my significant other, Cindy, she rides. And we even share a couple of our bikes, and then we each have our ones that it's like anything else that the family can get into. It's just really important and really special. Going on rides and things like that. Okay, so how did you get into motorcycling?
Honestly, I had 2 friends that had this whim idea. We were in junior college, and they're like, hey, why don't we get our motorcycle permits? They didn't go through with it, but guess who did?
There you go.
And then I want to say about, and then I transferred to school at UC San Diego, and then I just get really deep into canyon riding. I hurt myself a bunch of times in the first 2 years.
We're not learning how to play ping pong.
Yeah.
Motorcycles can be dangerous.
Right, not with the body. And so 2 years of just straight injuring myself, and then I got into Keith Code and track riding and safety and mechanics.
You know, I'm going to step in there and get on one of my soapbox. One of the things about riding high-performance motorcycles, or really any motorcycles nowadays, something is available to all of riders that was not available back in my day. But my day, you learned how to go fast. Yeah, pretty much went out in the twisties, and you were lucky to be alive. And I'm lucky to be alive, trust me. But now you have track days, and like Keith's a friend of mine. You know, you've got super bike schools. You've got all these different situations where you can go out for a couple $100, or if you're taking a school, whatever it is. But you can learn how to use your motorcycle at its limits, at your limits, in a safe, we'll put it this way, a safer manner than you could do it anywhere else.
Yeah, beyond the MSF, right?
Right. Oh, well, the MSF is that's like a given. You know, we'll talk about that, where if you're going to learn how to ride, that's the first thing you do.
Essential.
But I'm talking about as you get a little bit more experience with your motorcycle and you get a little bit more comfort level and everything, to where you're starting to go, maybe I want to get out in the twisties and have a fun. Or you've gone on a couple rides, you find yourself going a little faster than maybe you should have, right?
Yeah.
That's the time. You get out and do a track. If you do a track school, okay, basically what happens is you pay a fee, and you know this, and you pay a fee, and you go out and you take your bike and you go out on the race course, you go through their class, their school, and then you are watched over by expert riders. They've got expert instructors. You're all going the same way.
You just focus.
And they go out in the different classes. You know, you'll have your beginner class, your intermediates, and your experts, and they go out at different times, so you don't have to worry about being embarrassed about being slow or well, I'm too much of a stud, I'm faster than a beginner. No, they have all these things. But what it teaches you about you and the handling of your motorcycle is priceless. Take, for instance, if one of these classes, even Key School, whether you're spending $250, $300, $400, $500, $600, or whatever, how much does an accident cost? Because you didn't have the experience, and you went out in the twisties and you tossed it, and God forbid that, you know, you didn't die, right? How much does that cost?
For me, it cost me not only $10,000, $20,000, but 10 years of my life.
Did you get helicoptered off?
No, I broke my leg, which is severe enough, but just that one, actually 1 to 5 accidents, it cost me 10 years of my life of just working normally.
Right, not being 100%.
Right. So that's why I'm such an advocate of, like, if you can get out to any training, do it, because you're just setting yourself up for success.
And you don't train just once. To be a good motorcycle rider, you have to continue your education and your trainer, just like anything else. If you wanted to be a good skier, you just wouldn't want to take one ski class and go, okay, I'm a stud now, and never get another skiing class. No. You know, as you progress, and it's like whether you're, I'm a pilot, it's whether you're pilot continues to get his training.
Yeah.
And that's so important. So, okay, going back to, you started, okay, your friends talked you into it.
Yeah, friends talked me into it.
And you did a track day.
Yeah, and then I did track day, and then I just really got hooked from there, because you really have a lot of time to practice this one little thing. You're going to practice your holding onto the bars. You're going to practice gas. It's one thing at a time. It's dissected.
And they teach you counter steering. They teach you that your brakes, especially on a sport bike, your brakes are 100% at certain times of your braking force.
But yeah.
Your back wheel doesn't do much braking. Your back tire doesn't do much braking when it's off the ground.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I would say the best part is you learn by osmosis. And so I used to be in a lot of groups in San Diego, and I really didn't learn much about my bike or what it could do. I saw wheelies. I saw all kinds of stunts, which is awesome. But for my own safety, for my own enjoyment, I actually learn more from instructors and coaches and people who have found their own limit. And so just being around that all the time really helped me progress.
And you'll probably agree with, there's three kinds of motorcycle riders. Those who have gone down, those who will go down, and then the group that you and I are in, those who will go down again. Look, riding a motorcycle can be dangerous. But the thing is, the more training that you have, the odds of you going down go down exponentially. You know what I mean? It's just you start to learn. And that thing about, it's the other guy. No, your training teaches you about that other guy. Your training teaches you, well, watch out for that tire being pointed out from a curve. Watch out for people's heads turning, and all the different things that you learn in class that make you a safer rider to be able to handle that other guy.
Yeah. Well, an interesting that came up is when we were on this crazy trip, we actually got to ride on the Mid-Ohio Sports Course.
Oh,
so that's where the AMA used to race.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, but mind you, a lot of the people on this ride are cruisers. They're, relaxed riders, weekend warriors. And so I was excited. I was like, okay, how fast can we go? But, when you have a huge, celebratory track time like that, like the AMA Vintage Days they had, a lot of the girls were actually put off by the behaviors on the track. There were guys passing, and from racing that this is natural. But for people
they've done it at they do it at Laguna Seca at the races and stuff. They'll have let everybody out on the track for one lap so they can see it. And of course, you get that. The other side of the 1%ers, not the hardcore one, but the sport bike guys, I want to show off and show how I can wheelie and all that. That's not all of us.
Yeah, and so that was an interesting experience, because I found myself trying to motivate the women, like, don't get discouraged, that's just guys, and they know this area, they know the track, they're going to want to blow past, 150 bikes. And the other half loved it. Like, they had never experienced the thrill of racing. And granted, we're just like going 50 around. So it
doesn't matter. It's seeing that corner coming up, no matter what speed, it's fantastic.
Yeah. So I really am glad that this ride gave that opportunity. That's more of my world that I synergize with. But the others that got turned off, it just represented the people that still have to grow in the motorcycling world and dealing with A-type personalities, or people that you don't even know them, but you hate them already because they've just blown by you and they've cut you off. And it's learning how to deal with that as a woman, more so.
Well, but then again, women have a lot of benefits too, because for one, there's nothing sexier than a woman on a sport bike.
Any bike, really.
Any bike, really. Yeah. Right. It's funny. Cindy says this all the time. She says, "Oh, you guys, I don't care. You can have a $85,000 bike, and you can look like, Brad Pitt. You can have all the helmet and all the perfect gear. I'm one girl on a motorcycle goes up, and you've lost all your It's not. No, she's totally cooler.
Yeah. Well, I was There's another moment I had in the ride where we were at Pikes Peak, and it's 14,000 feet, so some people can't handle the altitude.
Right.
There were a few that didn't summit the first day because they just felt sick.
Sure.
But I remember the morning of the second day, there were two that went out. Kathy and Sonia, there was something about the way that they were ready. Kathy was like, I'm gonna go up again. Like, she was determined. I just remember, like, the look in her eyes, the way she was holding the handlebars, and just her resolve. I thought that was sexy. Like, that was just incredible. You know, it's like, it's powerful. And I'm not one to really be taken by such things, but it was like a moment.
Well, the thing is, it's like I say all the time from the dealership perspective here at Southern California Motorcycles, we're not in the transportation industry. Mm-hmm. We're in the entertainment business. Okay?
Yeah.
Because motorcycles come from here. It's passion. Mm-hmm. And that's what you were seeing. It's that drive, that passion to get better. And I've watched that, and I've watched it. Guys tend to let their ego and their testosterone override, so you don't always see, how hard it is for them to learn, and because they won't show it, right?
Right.
But women, they're not so concerned about that. But they're, again, like you say, you tend to admire. Mm-hmm. That so much, because you can see how hard they're working, how important it is, and things like that.
Yeah, that was beautiful to witness, and it wasn't just this one. I want to say it was with everyone. Yeah. Well,
especially on a ride like that. Mm-hmm. How many people have done that? Not a whole lot.
No, yeah, and one time we raised our hands and said, "How many did this for the first time?" It was like over half.
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
So that was cool. On a ride such as that.
Mm-hmm. Long distance cross country.
Right. Mm-hmm. And as a motorcyclist, long-distance cross-country riding is a whole kind of different world, but it is so much of an adventure.
Yeah. And so leading up to this, I did a lot to prepare for it. I thought, okay, I'm going to practice by going to the Bay Area. And then I rode up to Pikes Peak to see my friend race. That was like from LA to Colorado Springs. That was practice, right? I actually did it the week before this ride. So
that's a heck of a practice.
Yeah. So I thought, by the time I get to New York, I thought I was prepared. But no, I didn't plan for the rain. I didn't bring any rain gear. I only brought these one Alpine Stars pants, which is just Kevlar. One layer. Yeah. So I didn't plan for any rain. And luckily my jacket was waterproof.
Right.
But everything else.
But the touring riders, they are masters at that.
They get it, yeah.
I remember when all I had was a motorcycle, and I had to go back and forth to work every day on a motorcycle. Mm-hmm. You just learn, how to stay. You can get to work and get into some place and it's pouring rain and strip off all your gears, and there you're in. You take your jacket out of your briefcase, you put it on. You're in your suit. You go to work.
Yeah, well, that was the thing is me and one other rider were going to, I think it's somewhere in Arizona, and then it just, we see the clouds, and we knew it was coming 10 minutes away, but then all of a sudden it just hits us, and then she gets over, puts on all her ether, layers, and it's like bright neon yellow, she looks like a big, like Michelin type person.
Yeah, well, it tends to take the figure right out of you.
and then me, I just was in my one outfit, so I just waited for her to put on her rain gear, and then I continued with wet visor, wet clothes, everything, and she was just
it is so incredible, the technology, not only in the motorcycles. We're in the best place we've ever been for motorcycle technology, but the technology on not only helmets, but all the apparel is just amazing. Not only it's protective, what it'll do to protect you, God forbid, if you fall, right? But just the weather, whether it's hot, whether it's cold. You wear the same suits now, well, for a long time now, whether it's hot or whether it's cold, the same riding suits. And wet, cold, doesn't matter. And I remember, this was back in 1985, leaving Marysville, Ohio, on that trip on the Goldwing I was telling you about. It was 4 degrees when we left. And it snowed. In fact, 2 of us crashed on an off-ramp. It wasn't a crash. It was like...
slide out.
Whoosh. Oh. And then you got up and you're cracking up about it. You didn't hit anything. But
luckily there's nothing behind you.
But we had electric gear. So I had electric chaps and electric gloves, an electric vest. And then I had my the suit that I wore over it that was all waterproof and everything, looking like the Michelin Man. But the worst thing is I wore glasses. And I was toasty warm, on the Goldwing, just toasty warm. It was just freezing cold outside. Glasses, the shield fogged up first.
Yeah.
Oh, crap. All right.
Little crack, yeah.
Then the glasses fogged up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, this isn't working. Because you're so toasty warm, but it's really cold outside and there's no defroster.
Oh my God, 4 degrees, I can't imagine. I mean, I was in at most 40 degrees in rain or, the mountain mist, but it's nothing that bad. So, but snow's a whole different thing.
So, okay, continue. So you did your track day, then what?
And then I just kind of got exposed to the world of takeoffs, the world of, racers practicing at track days.
Take off tires and things.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, but I'm still a huge canyon carver. Like, I will look for those, twisties. I'll look for the little lodge at the end. Those are the best roads.
And I want to talk a little bit about that because comfort level. Now, this is the thing that you, as a motorcyclist, you have to watch for, because if you're riding up through the twisties, right, and you've obviously got a good comfort level, so you're riding at a good pace. My comfort level is, I was a professional racer, right? So,
different,
yeah, if I go past a rider, right, that rider shouldn't get mad. I'm not racing. He might think, oh my God, that guy or that girl, I can't believe they're going so fast and yada, yada, yada.
Right.
No. You can't think that, because their comfort level, you might be riding at 50%. So you still got 50% left to, if you come into a corner too hot, no problem, I can brake. Or if there's a boulder or something.
Yeah. But
right?
to them, it's probably like they're in 80 or 90.
Right, and that's what you should never, ever do, and I know you know this, is ride at the 90% level out in the twisties.
Yeah, never.
That your margin for error gets so small and there's no runoff room and things like that. But I just wanted to touch base, because that comfort level thing will really get people. And we really had to watch that back when we had a very tight group of people called SCALPER, Southern California Professional Bench Racers Association. And we were all industry professionals and racers and editors and things. And when we'd go on a ride, we'd have people that would go with us and friends. We really had to watch and let them know, don't try to keep up.
Yeah.
Because they would be riding at 90% or if not higher, over their limit.
Yeah.
And we're just riding along at 75% going, okay, we're riding good and quick, but it's fun. It's an interesting concept.
It is, and especially from the female side, I see women get really discouraged because they have people that are, I think it's maybe not addressed when they first start riding as a female, is that there's going to be guys, they're going to have a different learning curve, and so you cannot really ride with people that have that learning curve. You might want to pace back and then just go at your own pace and figure out your own curve.
And it's also very important because guys, as soon as there's a girl around, they're going to escalate that from riding at 75% to riding at 100, because they want to show off. They're the rooster.
Yeah, but I think even just women in general, we do compare a lot, and I think when it comes to riding that we have men to compare against, but you shouldn't, because they just have a different energy that's gonna twist that throttle, whereas women are very cautious. They're gonna look around a little bit more, and they're gonna think ahead a little bit more. Whereas most guys,
which is absolutely true. I just got to thinking when Cindy was learning, all the rest of us were highly experienced guys and racers and stuff, and here she's on her sport bike trying to, and it was tough. It was tough for her.
Granted, you will get faster, but at the same time, I think, just as females, I've seen just so many people get discouraged from trying to compare different comfort levels, and that's where you make mistakes.
That's very important, because if you do get discouraged when you're learning to do anything, you have a tendency, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, give up easier.
No. Motorcycling is so addictive. It's so important, and it can provide so much joy. Don't give up just because somebody was being...
Yeah, a little bravado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, tell you what, we're going to go on a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to go into a little bit on how to help you ladies get into motorcycling. I'm Tom Hicks, this is Ridin'SoCal, and we'll be back with you in a couple minutes. Southern California Motorcycles is proud to present the grand reopening of Southern California Suzuki. Join us Saturday, August 6th, to see our brand new 2,700 square foot Suzuki showroom and experience why we are the Suzuki enthusiasts dealership. From 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., you can enjoy demo rides, free food, vendors, music, raffle prizes, and plenty of store-wide promotions. We are located at 515 West Lambert Road in Brea. For more information, visit SoCalMotorcycles.com. Hello everyone, I'm Tom Hicks, this is Ridin'SoCal, and I'm back with Queena
Deschene. Yes, Queena Deschene.
And we're talking about women in motorcycling, and right now we're going to talk about bikes a little bit. Now, for a woman just getting into motorcycling, you know, the Japanese came across many, many years ago with, oh, you should start on a 250. Mm-hmm. And you know why they did this? Because they sell a 250, a 350, a 450, a 550. And it was basically their way of, because here in reality, whether you're girl or guy, you start on a 250, 3 months later, you know how to ride. You've been riding and everything. And
you'll be like Rossi.
It doesn't have enough power. Mm-hmm. So then when you go to trade it in, you're going to take it, oh, and it's just not pretty. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And then they'll suggest, oh, just go up a little bit. No. I'm a true believer, and I told you the little story about that service manager. Mm-hmm. Maybe not from gate to going to the fastest thing out, but still go up. Don't worry so much about it. Especially what I found out about women, they're much more controlled than men are as far as that. But get something that fits you. Get something that you're comfortable with. Don't worry so much about. Don't get hung up on the displacement.
The size, yeah.
Right, and so especially 600 cc's. That's a really, really good displacement for both, or that class in sport, for both beginner and for experts. Mm-hmm. I have my most fun. I've done tons of track days, of course, and I've ridden a 1098R on the track and all this stuff. I have more fun on a 675 Triumph.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because you can use the power, and it's just more fun, and you're not going from one corner to the next in a nanosecond, right? Mm-hmm. But the beauty of motorcycling is we've got so many choices.
Now we do.
For a cruiser rider, go to a 1200 or 1400 cc for your first bike. Big deal. Mm-hmm. They're meant for a lot of torque, and they're meant to you know, and they just ride and enjoy. Yeah. But motorcycling is set up back when I started riding in the 60s. You had one motorcycle, you did it all. There wasn't particularly a sport bike or a cruiser or a touring bike. There wasn't any of that. Yeah. You had a 650 BSA. Okay.
Cool.
You put a windshield on it, it's a tour. Yay!
Oh, that's awesome.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But now, throughout the years, motorcycling has gotten so segregated into individual niches. And those individual niches, all of them will still do all the things that a motorcycle will do. Mm-hmm. It's just the individual niche will do it better. Yeah. Take, for instance, adventure touring. Mm-hmm. We were talking. You did your ride on an SV.
A V-Strom.
A V-Strom, I'm sorry.
A DL
V-Strom 1000. Or
650.
650.
Yeah.
Still.
Thanks for the confidence.
But still, you could have easily done it. You're a rider. You could have easily done it on 1000. Yeah. The biggest difference, 1000 has more torque and it has more high speed, but you probably weren't going to use its high speed capabilities. Yeah. But whenever you go up in displacement, it's also a bigger, heavier motorcycle.
Yeah, and so the 650 was just great because I found myself gassing it on freeways, catching up to different groups, trying to get little shots of riders here and there. But I just noticed that every turn I took, it felt just like my CBR. I was really amazed.
What size is your CBR?
600 and I have 250.
Go. Okay.
Yeah.
CBR 250, the Ninja 250, those things are so much fun. But you wouldn't want it as your only bike.
Yeah, I have found that very quickly. But I was surprised that this is a really new bike to me. So it's upright. Mm-hmm. Your legs are not bent back. The foot peg is actually very flat. Mm-hmm. It's not angled. And then the huge windscreen is like a TV.
Adventure touring, basically in America, we tour on big Gull Wings and Victory Visions and big Harleys and
flat
all
highways.
those are we got tons of just straight highways, and those are the big touring bikes. And we as Americans, we get used to, that's a touring bike. Well, in Europe, touring bikes are what we call adventure touring bikes. Mm-hmm. They are basically a bike that has longer travel suspension, an upright seating position, and you can put bags and stuff and windshield on it, because the roads in Europe, one, are twistier than here in America, but also they're not as in good a shape as a rule. So the longer travel suspension was really helped to make it comfortable. So, and also the Europeans tend to take motorcycling much more serious than Americans, and they're for the average rider, motorcycle in Europe is like our club racer here.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, they're definitely more experienced. And when you go over there to Europe and see this, it's just absolutely amazing. Their understanding of motorcycling has always been way different and beyond, as far as I'm concerned, ours.
And I was told
for the
even
average rider.
Yeah, the gear, they're very serious about gear.
Oh yeah, you can just go out for a ride and you'll see both the guy and his girl, if she's riding on the back, they're all full road race leathers, full face helmets, everything.
Yeah.
But back to the adventure touring bike, the Europeans, they really came from Europe, that adventure touring design and things. And you're sitting upright, but really you just got a little bit of a hint forward, right?
Yeah.
That's to stop from all your weight going up and down on your tailbone. If you lean forward a little bit, it's not all going transmitting straight up your spine. There's all kinds of aspects to that are really fascinating, but really when it comes down to traveling a lot of miles in comfort.
And then this morning when I was meeting with Suzuki, the lead technical writer, he said that the way that the engine is, the angle of the pistons, is actually designed for a more comfortable vibration instead of like the BMW, which is a different, I guess, angle, and so it, jumbles you more, I guess.
It's an interesting concept because the engines, like if you're riding a cruiser, you want a V-twin. Or an L-twin like in a Ducati because it's that feel.
Yeah.
We're really, when it comes to the engine, you're getting more into the passion more than its abilities. Right? How's it sound?
Yeah.
How's it feel? You know what I mean? Does it have a lot of torque? Is that the way you ride? You want a lot of torque, and torque is just low in power, right?
Yeah.
Or do you like a lot of screaming high RPM horsepower, which is like the CBR 600 or your race bikes, your sport bikes, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's what you really want and feel. It's what you really want and what turns you on, really. Because at the same thing, you've got L twin Ducatis, a Panigale that's every bit as much of a fit competition-wise as your 1000cc 4-cylinder transverse CBR engine or Suzuki GSXR. It's which one you like, because each will do the job.
But even just between the same class of bikes, so a BMW touring bike versus the V-Strom, even just like the way they roll on the gas,
right?
I mean, it just feels different, and I was completely happy
with
the
power characteristics.
Yeah, because what you said makes a lot of sense, because I did feel like my arms are completely straight, and I'm consider myself a little bit taller limbed person. So it was nice to kind of feel that when I hopped on the BMW. The seat, they will do something about that seat, I hope.
Well, unfortunately, seats are designed just to be comfortable in a showroom. Don't get me wrong, it's a compromise. And the manufacturers, but the most important place from the manufacturer's perspective, the most important place for that bike to be comfortable is the showroom floor when you first sit on it. So you get the warm fuzzies and you buy their motorcycle.
Straddling and standing up straight, yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, when you get out on the road, they want it to be comfortable, and they'll hit a lot of compromises, but the most important part is in that showroom, which is a shame, but it's about sales and things like this.
I'm glad you're bringing that up, because, I mean, you have experience both on riding it and
from the distributor perspective.
Yeah.
And it's not that one's bad or one's good, because they need to sell their motorcycles and they want to sell more motorcycles than brand X, right?
Yeah.
But at the same point, we as a dealer, we go, okay, here's the deal. What kind of riding you're going to do? And that's why our staff, and we'll get into how ladies can get into motorcycle riding. But if you come to a dealer a good dealer, let's say, that salesperson's going to ask you a ton of questions. Let's say you're wanting to buy your first bike. It's going to ask you a ton of questions. What kind of riding do you perceive you're going to do? Here, come on, sit on a couple bikes. Let's see how your height, how your comfort level is. Because the center of gravity is different on different motorcycles. So some bikes may be heavier than another bike, but it feels lighter to ride. How does that work? It's all about center of gravity,
right,
and how things are put together. So when you go into a dealership, if you've got somebody that's asking you a ton of questions, their job is to use their expertise to help you into the bike of your dreams. Not, and one of the things I won't allow here, is a salesman trying to sell you into a certain bike because we have too many of them. A lot of dealers, unfortunately, will fall into that.
Oh yeah, come into the year.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So, with that said, what are your suggestions to someone, a young lady that wants to get into riding?
Oh, I always tell people, I give people a long list. Health insurance, life insurance.
Life insurance.
Don't repeat my mistake and crash without insurance.
You know what? It's interesting you say that. My son, as a young man, didn't feel that insurance was all that necessary and crashed twice. And for years and years and years, he was buried in medical bills.
That was me.
You know?
Yeah.
And it was horrible. And yes, absolutely medical insurance. Look, we talked about the, 3 kinds of riders and everything. And I say this here at Southern California Motorcycles. We don't sell ping pong balls. Motorcycles can be dangerous. But given the proper gear and the proper training, they're no more dangerous than really anything else.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming down to taking the course and getting the gear. The bike can always come later. We're going to have friends with bikes. We're going to have bikes available for rent. I'm an Eagle Rider member, so...
Well, now, rental, that's really good, but you know that one of the major amounts of people that get into accidents happen because of you're my friend. Why don't you try my motorcycle? That's where, believe it or not, a huge percentage of motorcycle accidents happen. Is somebody riding somebody else's bike. So, but you get experience before you jump onto somebody else's bike is all I'm really saying.
Yeah, get the seat time.
But the MSF course is for sure.
Yeah.
That's what's it, about an 18-hour course?
It's been so long, but it's been but it's generally just save yourself a weekend, and I think it's like a weekday.
Right, it's a couple $100.
Couple $100. It's you get to meet other people, which is really fun, and they're all starting from.
And
your
it's like
support.
9 hours in the classroom, 9 hours out in a parking lot, riding 250 motorcycles under expert instruction.
Yep.
And once you get that, then they give you a certificate of completion. You go to the DMV, take the written test, and then hand them your certificate, and they give you a motorcycle license.
And you avoid that circle of death.
Well, the circle of death that you're referring to, the DMV skills test is very, very, very difficult. That if you can get around having to take that, because you really don't have to take the MSF course unless you're under 21, I think. But the bottom line is you should.
Yeah. And so coaching these M1GP women's clinics, I've found that a lot of women, they've been riding for years, but I tell you, they cannot brake and swerve to save their life. Nothing against them. I just think that these skills aren't reinforced throughout the years.
Right.
And so when they get on the racetrack, you're doing the same thing as you're on the street. You just have a little bit more carry speed. But a lot of them forget that it's push, not pull on the handlebars. Like basic stuff. Yeah. Like
people don't understand counter steering, and it's push right to go right, and they go, wait a minute. If I'm pushing right, that means I'm turning my handlebars left. How does that make me go right?
Right.
And real simple, what it does is it makes the bike lean. Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just leans into the corner, but it is. You actually are trying to turn the handlebar the opposite direction.
Right, but
and that's hard for people to. Well, it's hard for them to figure that out. Because it comes to a point when you're going so slow, when you slow down, that you actually are turning the handlebars right to go right.
Yeah, but I mean, you do learn all this.
Well, not push right. You're turning the handlebars in the correct direction.
Right, but I mean, these are all things you learn, day one in the motorcycle course.
In the motorcycle safety foundation.
Right, but I mean, of course, we all get lazy, we all forget, we all start thinking a lot once we start riding, and so I just really hope that, going forward, people remember to take these courses again. Now there's like advanced levels. Now you can go into dirt bike courses.
Well, that's that continuing the training. One of the things that I'm also an advocate of is if someone wants to start riding a motorcycle, go get off-road training first.
Oh, that's a good tip. I wish I had done that.
Because here's the deal. Like you can go down to Gary LaPlante's Moto Ventures down in Temecula, or I forget exactly where he is. But you go down for a couple $100. They completely outfit you in motocross gear, protective off-road riding gear, right? And they put you on the appropriate size dirt bike. And boy, are you going to fall. You're just going to fall, and you're going to get up, and you're going to dust off, and you go, oh, boy, and you're going to laugh, and you're going to have a wonderful time. But what you learn is so essential, because one of the main things you learn is to be able to, you can move around on your motorcycle.
Yeah, be squirrely.
Most people that don't have any off-road experience, when they first get on a bike, they're frozen. Go, oh my God, I can't move, I can't do anything. No, let that motorcycle do everything underneath you.
And that's why I got stuck in sand for like 3 hours, because I was so stiff and I was gassing. So those two.
The only way to ride through sand is weight on the back wheel and on the gas, because once you bog down.
So, yeah, I really wish I knew that. But this ride, this epic Centennial cross-country trip, was the first time I ever went over a boulder this big.
Whoa.
First time I ever went on straight gravel.
But there again, that's where off-road training would give you such an edge, because really the only difference between an off-road bike and a street bike is the off-road bike has off-road tires and it has more suspension. At the end of the day, that's really the only difference in the two bikes.
And I had that thanks to Suzuki. I mean, luckily, I had the bike that was so soft going on this boulder. I literally was staring at this boulder going down this teeny dirt path, and I literally thought I was going to tip over. But the bike did its thing.
Well, most people think that adventure touring bikes are dirt bikes. But really, they're meant to go a little bit off-road. You can do a dirt road without any problem, but it's because of their long travel suspension and their upright seating position that gives people that impression.
I love it. It's so comfortable.
Wait until you try one of the bigger ones, like a Multistrada, Ducati Multistrada, or the Triumph Tiger. Oof.
Oh, I did ride the Tiger.
Tiger 800?
Yeah, I took it up to Mulholland. I was like, oh, it's pretty flight. I have my, tendencies.
Well, back to someone new getting in the sport. Really, the MSF course,
gear,
and then try to find a dealer. And I will pat ourselves on the back. Southern California Motorcycles here in Brea, we have sales meetings every day with salespeople to get together so that they know that what their job is. Their job isn't just to take your money and shove a bike at you. Or just, oh, what are you doing? What do you want to buy? You want to, no. It's all about really working with someone. And so, with that said, tell us a little bit about the way you train on the small bikes. That I wanted to hear.
So I first started on NSR 50s, which is really just cramped, but now M1GP has CRF 50s, a whole fleet of them.
That's a little Honda.
It's a little Honda. It's very narrow, so it's probably no narrower than, in the middle of the tank.
And really, it's about as tall a 10-year-old could get on it.
Yeah, at most maybe 2 feet. And so I always tell people, you may think you're going fast, but if you fall as many times as you want, because you're just like you and I are just
it's the
toppling
off-road
over.
type. You've got all the protective gear on. You're not going fast.
And we give you all the gear, for $85 for a whole day.
Really?
You literally have the track to
You
yourself.
can't even go to Disneyland or something like that.
This is true.
You're going to have so much more fun.
And
taking your class for $85.
Yeah, with a ton of other women and in loaner gear, and you just literally show up and ride.
How does someone find out about this?
It's m1gp.us. That's the website.
M1?
M as in Mary.
Right, okay.
Number 1, Grand Prix. So M1 Grand Prix, you look it up, you'll find us. It's been around for a long time. It's been one of the oldest mini motorcycle groups around Southern California.
And even for experienced riders, riding small bikes is just fun.
It's stupid fun, right?
It really is. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Just
like it's funny once we do the drills, because even people who've never ridden minis, they're dragging shins by the end of the day. And it gives them such a confidence. And then at the end of the day, you're like, okay, now go do that on the big bike. If you have the skills, if you think you can
work
go there,
up to it, absolutely.
Go for it. Yeah, so it's beautiful.
Yeah, such a deal. Well, you're a fascinating young lady. I mean, everything that you bring to the party for everyone else now, not only yourself. As far as your riding and this Centennial Motorcycle Ride, wow, that sounded like something that.
Yeah, I mean, Suzuki gave me the bike to go across the country in my 30th year of existence, my 10th year of riding. It's been celebrating a lot of things, but now I'm thinking, okay, well, where else can I travel?
What's next?
Yeah, I mean, I've ridden in Cuba this year. Okay, where else do I want to start, like, venturing to?
Cindy, one time I couldn't go. She went over to Italy and went up to the Monza Superbike race by herself on an 1100 Ducati Monster.
Wow.
She toured Italy on 1100 Monster.
She didn't take you?
Not well. No, we go over there from time to time, but no, I couldn't go because of business. And yeah, she went over by herself.
Good for her.
And it's just what is open to you in the motorcycling world is just outstanding.
Yeah. I mean, when I first started, you either start on a Cowie 250.
Well, Ninja 250.
Yeah, Ninja 250. I think that was it for the smaller bikes.
Pretty much. Well, Honda made the 250 back in the late 80s also. It was a...
Yeah. I started in 06, so it was really like sport bikes or dirt bikes.
Well, I'm showing my age.
Well, I'm showing my age, so... So yeah, I mean, it was either a Cowie 250, which was always beat up, and it was the same generation, as years before, or you started on like a CBR, Cowie, whatever it was. So you had that disparity, but now you have the Grum, you have,
Oh, there's so many. Motorcycling, like I said, with the technology and everything, and the choices out there.
Yeah, we're really blessed.
Yep.
Yeah, especially in Southern California.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, with that said, thank you. I'm going to take care of a little bit of Southern California motorcycles business now.
Sure.
One of the things that I want to tell everybody is to stay tuned to us, because we really try to reach out and just let you know what's happening in the motorcycle community. Go on SoCalMotorcycles.com. Not only can you can go on to Ridin'SoCal, and you can even listen to archived and see the new YouTube videos, but it just tells everything about what's happening in our territory here. Also, you could get on our mailing list. We send out a weekly email flyer. It's called Tom's Tidbits, and it really is not so much a sales flyer. It's about letting you know what's happening, not only here with the dealership, but what's happening in our area. So with that said, go on SoCalMotorcycles.com for that. Also, we're having, speaking of Suzuki, we have just remodeled and expanded our Suzuki dealership here at Southern California Motorcycles,
Excited for
which
that.
is Southern California Suzuki. And it's huge and beautiful, and we're having a grand reopening on Saturday, August 6th.
Yeah.
So it's going to be typically one of our big events. We're going to have vendors and free food and Suzuki demo rides, which by not too many dealers, in fact, I don't know really of any across the United States that give demo rides on Suzukis. And you're going to have the whole line of Suzukis to ride on that day, and that's Saturday, August 6th. Come out and visit. We'll have the raffle. It's just going to be fun.
I can't wait to see it.
So again, thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm Tom Hicks. This is Ridin'SoCal, and we'll be back with you next week.